Hey, what's up, everybody? Let me know if let me know if the music volume is okay or the mic volume is okay, if I need to turn them up and down. So only second time streaming, so you know, still learning as we go. So yeah, so last week did a whole stream. Thought it went okay. Other than the technical difficulties, thanks for kind of bearing through those, chat. And yeah, this week I think maybe some things are ironed out. I don't know. I pressed some buttons in Streamlabs and hopefully like things go better. And we'll kind of review the stuff we did last week. So and this one's for sure recording. So yeah. You know, funny that you bring that up, Thiago. That link in there, Phineas Fisher. The Phineas Fisher link actually linked me as like a source or inspiration or something like that, which was interesting, super interesting, because not Black Hat at all, but being linked in something like that's crazy. So yeah, if you just like search J Haddix in there, so I guess just like a mild disclaimer. Yeah, don't do bad things. Everything that I teach in the stream or like you see me do in the stream is explicitly implied to be okay in the scope of bounties. And just don't be a bad dude. So cool. So last week we started on Verizon Media, right? So if like a lot of you don't know, Verizon Media's it's probably one of the biggest scoped bug bounty programs out there, and probably not the best one to start to learn on if you're like ever doing it, depending on how you look at it, right? So what can happen to a lot of people when they're doing a program like Verizon is just you lose track of what you're hacking or what you're doing recon on because it's so giant, it's huge. And it's a reason that, like Ben and I really like it because we're recon dudes. We really love recon. So so last week we kind of started this mind map, right? So I'm using Xmind here, and Xmind is just a mind map software. It allows you to make like these graphics with these nodes that collapse and do cool stuff. I released the template and kind of what we worked on last week with this last week. I put it up on my Twitter if you want to grab it there, and I've worked on it a little bit since over the week, and I built some stuff and some helper scripts, and I'll just share those with you guys today as I went over and was just trying to figure out how to kind of grasp this program. So the first thing in kind of my methodology for recon is ASNs and looking at a company like this, right? And you can see in this node where I just say recon right here, I just kind of have my high level, like what I'm trying to do here to garner hosts, right? We want to find all the root domains for Verizon Media. We want to find all the subdomains eventually. We want to find everything. And so in the ASN section, I got these two lists of ASNs, this list here for Oath, and then this list here for Yahoo. Now, once I get a list of ASNs, you know, basically autonomous system numbers, collections of networks assigned to a company, once I got this list, I ran it through Amass. So what I did is, if I grab my terminal here, and this is still running. Let me scroll up. So basically what I did is I took this list here and I just made like a basically a for loop, right? And am running it through Amass Intel right here. See, Amass Intel. So Amass Intel will basically take an ASN number and go out to it and use a couple of methods to pull out root domains from that range, right? So here I did Amass Intel -ASN and then just fed the list number to it. The reason I didn't feed here, and this is kind of one of the shortcomings of the tool, or I don't know if it's me being blacklisted or not like that, but one of the shortcomings of the tool with Amass, which is you know, a giant recon tool, it does more than what I'm doing right now. It'll do subdomain enumeration too and a whole bunch of other stuff, is Amass, when you feed it, you can feed it all of these AS numbers like 7280 and 6992. You can feed them all on one line, right? You don't have to create this for loop to do it. But the problem is that eventually, somewhere in this list of ASNs here, it's going to get to like a giant net block, like huge, and it's going to hang and basically run forever with no output. And then sometimes you get like DNS rate limited, or something happens where this just hangs. So if you fed it a whole bunch of numbers all as one line, what happens is you either have to kill the script and like remove it from your input line, which is a pain, right? So what I did is I took all the ASNs I got, and remember we got these from bgp.he.net, I fed them in the for loop one at a time, and then just echoed like the ASN above it, right? So if I'm in here and this is running, right, which eventually I got to one, let's see if I can find one here that just sucked. So eventually I got DNS rate limited here on ASN 36646, and so what I could do is I could just go into like htop here, and while my for loop is running, I can just kill the one thread for that ASN, and then it'll skip to the next one, so I don't have to kill the whole tool at all. So just for looping the tool like this actually helped me, because then it just moved on to the next one, right? So so these are all the root domains it's starting to find. You'll see some duplicates, and and then also when doing Amass Intel, Amass actually doesn't tell you the current ASN you're working on, which is, I think, a feature enhancement that it could, you know, do. If you feed it multiple, it should tell you like, oh yeah, now I'm scanning this range. But maybe for concurrency reasons, it breaks it up. Maybe that's a thing. I don't actually know. I'd have to dive into the code. So you can see we're starting to pull down a lot of root domains for Verizon and Oath, and I did Oath too. So this is my local box, and then if I go over here, this is my my remote, my VPS, and I did the same thing over here. So if I go back to the top, you can see same for loop, and this was on Oath sets, I think. No, this one was on Yahoo, and this one over here was on Oath. Oath ASNs. Yeah, Oath. So now I have a whole bunch of root domains related to Yahoo, which is great. Some of these are not inherently just like, you know, in your face when you're doing this program, right? So like yahoo.com, Inc2me is another entity that they've sometimes owned. Yahoo.net, maybe you could infer that one. Yahoo Image is a domain. There's a root domain they own. Roth, like Yahoo-Cloud or Y-Cloud, right? A lot of these you wouldn't have inferred. Like Willine, I don't know how that is. You know, sometimes they will still have references to these root domains somehow resolving and then redirecting, even after they've let go of the company, right? So this one here, Ad Interacts, might not actually be an Oath company anymore. They might have let go of it and, like, you know, done something with it, or might still belong to Oath. You never know. So when I grab all these and just put them into a list, I will have to investigate like each one just to make sure I'm not kind of going out of scope, and it's not a property no longer owned by Verizon Media. And you can see like a whole bunch didn't return anything. And I will eventually run Amass Intel over the ASN several times, because you're using multiple resolvers. I'm using multiple resolvers in Amass Intel, and what'll happen is that eventually you'll get like, you know, like blacklisted from one, or rate limited, or something weird will happen. You'll just get back different results, and you'll notice that if you use Amass a lot, like sometimes you'll get different results. So I'll run 2 or 3 over the course of a project, just to make sure I'm getting all the root domains. But with the ability to for loop it, if something's hanging and I know it's causing like my workflow to be paused, I can just kill that script. So this one's still running, right? Like 10.30 or 10.31.0 is still running. And yeah, I don't know. It's been running for quite a bit since earlier today, so I could just kill this one and skip on to the next. So in the mind map, we've gathered the ASNs, right? And I just put them into their respective categories here, Oath, and then you can see the root domains for Oath, and then here is Yahoo, and here are the roots and the ASN or AS numbers. And then the next area was like acquisitions, and so I'm kind of going over some of the stuff we did last week, but eventually we found just by inference was most of the acquisitions we were going to find weren't under Oath. So if we go to like Crunchbase, if I could spell, like we did like Oath, I think. And then we looked here, I think, for acquisitions, maybe. Usually they're like right here in the middle of the page somewhere. We didn't really see anything. So like a bunch of sub-orgs though. And then eventually we kind of fell on Yahoo, which was for Crunchbase, where they had been tracking, I think, most of the acquisitions. Here it is. Number of acquisitions, 120. So let me move this over a little bit so the screen doesn't get blocked. So now you can kind of see basically date acquired and all of the companies Yahoo, who's owned by Oath, who is now Verizon Media, has listed in Crunchbase. And this expands our scope by quite a bit. We do have to verify that each one of these is in scope. And this data for Yahoo stopped being tracked at 2015, so some of these are quite old. Normally, chat says, Don says, what's up, Don? Normally on a pen test, you can ask the point of contact whether domains and IPs in scope. How do you make absolutely certain during a bug bounty? It's a good question. Sometimes you can send a burner submission in to the program. Luckily, with this program in specific, if you go to HackerOne, Verizon Media, they have like this small little stub in this program that says if you find like a vulnerability somewhere else, report it to us anyway. So like there's a, if I find a critical bug on one of these hosts, where is it? Here it is right here. If you found a vulnerability, that affects an asset belonging to Verizon Media but is not included as in scope of any of Verizon Media's programs, please report it to this program. So and then they have several different programs, one responsible disclosure, one not. So for this, I don't think they get mad at you if you just hit them up and sent a submission and said, hey, looked in your ASNs, found this company, obviously it's owned by you because it's in your ASNs. I want to look at it, or I think there's a vulnerability, or I might have stumbled into a vulnerability just by visiting a host. Should I report it here? Is it cool? Just be cool, be a professional. If they say, no, it's not qualifying, no, we don't own that company anymore, you got to be cool with that. Like, that's kind of the bug hunter game, and some people can't handle it. It sucks, but, there's been multiple times I found critical bugs on places that didn't end up paying them out for one reason or another, that it was out of scope or something, right? Like I had a bash I went to, a bug bash I went to, where I found like a SQL injection that basically had customer data in it for a site, for a customer service part of a site, and I got paid $0 for it because it wasn't explicitly in scope, and I just kind of have to know that going in, and I put a good amount of time into that. So it's just like any other pen testing or red teaming, right? Like, just talk to people, use your words, right? Be a professional and talk to them. So yeah, that's kind of where I land on that. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so we were on acquisitions on Crunchbase. So Crunchbase is usually where I go to grab acquisitions. I have a pro license to Crunchbase. If you don't have a pro license, they're only going to show you, I think, the top 15 here. And this is kind of one of the things that I do spend money on. I spend money on my burp license. And yeah, so sometimes I'll spend money on, you know, the burp license, and then the Crunchbase Pro subscription was what I grab. And so once you get this, if you have a pro version, you can download this as CSV. There's like a download up here, and this will give you these, and you can grab the domains out of them too. Is there he asks, is there a weird place where you get an RC flagged as informative? I mean, yeah, there's bounties that don't get it, man. I mean, I'll just be honest, right? I'm not beholden to any bounty company anymore. There's bad programs out there for people who don't want to pay, right? It's true. People who start the program for marketing's sake, and you know, you gotta. There's really no way to know when the program's brand new, so you might get skunked in the beginning, and then you just got to learn. Like, if they're not going to appreciate the time that you put into it, and the, you know, and a critical bug, then you can't work on that program anymore. And I think people get really stuck on that. They'll get stuck on the fact that, like, oh, I'm on this like awesome wide scope program where I can find lots of bugs, and it's easier than any of the other programs, and I really understand this technology, and they'll want to make it better. It's like an abusive relationship, right? You like really want to make it better, and try to keep submitting, and hopefully it'll get better, but it never does, and they still treat your bugs you know, like trash. So don't do it. Like, quit early if they're not treating you right. That's the only advice I could give anybody in that situation. Pro tip to avoid dupes, asks chat. Oh boy, interesting. Like, there's so many hunters out there hunting, right? So any bug could be found and duped. The thing is like, I usually, in like, I do my presentations or whatever, like, I usually have a slide that shows like an iceberg, right? And like, for some reason, and I don't want to say lower skill, just like newer people want to focus on the external portions of the app, like the public facing non-login portions, and non-integration portions and non-API portions of the application. And when you're doing this a lot, when you're doing hunting a lot, that's actually where most of the bugs actually lie, like IDORs and authorization bugs, and, you know, quirky injections and all that kind of stuff. It's usually on the internal app. So for just a public app that requires public sign up, like, just make sure you're doing a good job of using the site as a user, walking through all the flows before you even start hacking anything, right? Like, understanding how the application works. IPv6 space is like another really unlooked at space, right? Like, if I go to BGP again here, let's see here. So if I go to bgp.net and I look at, like, I think I looked for Oath originally. Let's see. No, Yahoo. Oh yeah, Oath. There we go, Oath. So we found a whole bunch of entries for Oath, right? And these entries, if you go in here and you go to prefixes for, this is where the ranges are, right? And we just grabbed the AS numbers off of this page here, the original page, and we started scanning these AS numbers, right? But even I am not going down here to all of this registered IPv6 space right here. And I don't think a lot of people are, honestly, if I'm just being honest. Yeah, IPv6 space is just like not looked at as often for some weird reason. And most people are looking for web bugs, right? So they're looking for web servers. In fact, this whole workflow that I'm working through right now is looking for web servers. So I know quite a few people at the bashes and the live hacking events who are finding network-based bugs, services that are, you know, like out there running that are not port 80 or 443, that are finding good bugs on those just because nobody else is looking. Everybody is looking for cross-site scripting. Everybody. So hard to not get duped on cross-site scripting unless you're first into a program. So that's just like off the top of my head. I'm sure I think of some other stuff, but okay. So I made some helper scripts here if you're getting started, right? So like here's Oath, right? And we've already done this, but I'll do it again. You can't just script off of this site, right? They have bot protection. They use Distill. So you can't just script and like curl out this output unless you have some badass ninja like anti-distill bot protection powers, right? So normally I have to do this part manually, grabbing the ASs, but there's also a tool out there written by Yassine, and we can show that real quick. Let me clear here. So ASNLookup is the tool. When you guys looked, have any of you used ASNLookup before? Cool. So let's check this out real quick. So here's ASNLookup, right? And what it does, it'll take a name, which is what we want to do right here. We want to do a free text search for a name like Oath or Yahoo or AOL, right? These are all associated to our target right now. And it'll go and it actually parses down. It's actually ingenious. It parses down a zip from the what database does it use? Shoot. I forgot. I gotta look through here real quick. We can look in the code. Okay, so he's downloading it from the Xmind, the Geolite Xmind database of ASNs, and then which is right here, right? And let me see if I make this bigger for you guys. Sorry. Here it is. So he's going out and looking for your keyword in this database here, and then he's parsing it out, anything that matches your keyword, and then it'll print it to the screen. He's not printing the autonomous system numbers, he's printing out the IP ranges associated, which is also useful. So this, if you guys just want to see how this looks, where was I? Oh boy, so many shells. Not that one. This one. There we go. So if we just go like what's the, I think it's O is org. Let's just check out O, see if anything's back. Pretty tight. Sorry, I'm sick. All right, here you go. So already we've got the ranges. I think he's resolving from the ASNs anyway. So this is a good list of ranges that you can feed to stuff. And then lo and behold, also the tip for looking at IPv6. Here's all the IPv6 ranges. You can also just do Yahoo here. Also got some stuff. Let's try AOL. So I love tools like this, right? But they're only as good as the regex and the keyword parsing from the service. Which is why in this portion of my Recon, I will also always use bgp.he.net manually at the beginning. Yeah, I will like I would love to be one of those guys who can fully automate my framework, but I worry about not getting the high fidelity data to start this workflow. So yeah, I always use bgp.he.net, the website. So what I'll do is I'll grab these and I'll just copy and paste all these ASNs, copy this, and then let's see, is my thing here? Yeah, so let's just nano this, dump it in a file, exit. So you see I got all the like extra text too. And we'll call this Oath BGPHEnet. Okay, so I created a small script just to clean this up for you guys. It's called bgp.sh. And you can just do bash bgp.sh and then do our new file here, which was Oath BGP. and then it just strips all of that stuff for you. There's like a return character in there instead of a space, which is tricky. So I use like TR to get rid of that or something like that, and just some like cut and stuff like that. So here you have a list of your ASNs, right? Which this I later script into that for loop I was talking about to run Amass Intel through. And then if you want to do the Amass Intel command just verbatim, it also prints out the command verbatim here. So that script looks like this. What was it called? BGP. Super easy, right? Whatever goes in gets cut, feed it to sed, remove the AS before the number. Just like small shell scripts like this save me a bunch of time when doing recon. And eventually I fold them into like a bigger script called Hunter, which I use to do the subdomain enumeration on some of this stuff. Cool. So now that I've got this is exactly what I ran later. So basically I took this part. Let's see what it looked like, the for loop. Where was it? Where did I do it? This is why I keep that section in the project for like scripts I end up writing, which is here. Let me move over to it. So I just document the workflow here in tool, right? So like ASNLookup, oh, here it is right here actually. bgp.he.net, copy and paste to bgp.sh to Amass. So here's my for loop that I used for that. So for in that file, do echo, whatever, and then that was running my my version of Amass Intel. I was using the old version on my VPS, which is instead of amass.intel, it's amass.net domains is the old version of it. It's no longer net domains, it's now called Intel. The newer version has Intel. So, and then you can see the output comes out here. And I just store this in the mind map. And so I have a whole bunch of top level domains to work from. Right? Obviously we knew Yahoo was going to be there, and we talked about this earlier. So now I can start moving these over to like the area where we work. Do I have a repo? No. I'll just put this on gist real quick. I'll just do it right now. So where's my what was this? So copy in bgp.he.net to script and get Amass command, and I'll put that. I'll put the other two in there. Which box is on this one? Here we go. Create public gist. Cool. So that's up on my GitHub, and then the other one was what was the other one? This is why we use. Oops, sorry. This is why we use the mind map, so we can find our way out. Let me collapse this, and then we'll go back. So that one's for BGP, and then feeds it to Amass. Let's put all these up, and then did I put it up? Yeah, it's up there. I don't want to discover it. I just want to put my there. Okay. All right. For loop to run Amass for easy killing of single thread. Yeah, I mean that should be. This is... I'll just specify Intel here. I guess you could turn this into a verbatim script. Cool. Okay, so that was one thing, right? So I got the ASNs. I begin to get all the root domains, right? That was the whole exercise there, was to get root domains for this project. That whole workflow took me, 3 hours last stream, and then a couple hours today just to make these scripts to do everything else, right? The other thing that we want to do is Amass purportedly does scanning for certificates and reverse DNS lookups when it does Amass net domains or Intel, either one. But also there's a tool by Peter Kim and Brett Bauerhaus called SSLscrape, and this will go out and pull out also multiple entries from single certificates. This will go out to an IPv4 range, basically mass scan everything in that range for 443, and then pull down all their certificates and scrape back any root domains. So ASNLookup was the next thing I did on this project. If I go to, basically I took the output of ASNLookup, which we just saw up here, right? These ranges. And then it's this script right here. So I took the output of the IPv4 that it gives you. It actually gives you a text file. It's called IPv4. And then I ran SSLscrape for each one in it. And that ends up, at the end of it, like lots of output. But I'll go ahead and do it right here. So let's see. Grab this for loop. Wait, no, we want to be on the Ubuntu box. Okay, so let's, where are we right now? CD ASNLookup, and then we'll run this for loop. I think it should still work. Everything's good. Yeah, so the IPv4 file should still be in there. Is it? We don't know. We'll see. And then it'll run. Okay, cool. So here's SSLscrape. So it's going to go out and do mass scan for 443 across each one of these ranges. And this is going to bring us back a whole bunch of runs of SSLscrape, basically parsing out the certificates. Now, this is going to take a while because it's essentially a port scan for 443. But what it looks like when you're done is, after I cleaned it up using sed, is this. And I put it in a spreadsheet. Now, something I realized right away, and you should know about Yahoo, is it's so big that I'm actually not going to be able to manage the whole project in the Xmind mind map. Like, I'm just getting too much data for it to be like memory, like okay in the mind map software. So I've started to move it to a spreadsheet. So here is the output. Like, I stripped all the banners and everything. Here's all the output for basically scraping all the certificates using SSLscrape for the domains that are included or mentioned in the certificate data. So here you can see that media.yahoo.com is a wildcard domain, data.yahoo.com. So now we're starting to get some of that nomenclature that if you've ever watched Ben's stream, like, you can see that they like to name domains like subdomains and stuff like that right here. But we can see now where we can start do some enumeration, right? So now I can feed media.yahoo.com as a route to Amass to do its brute forcing, to do its scraping, and I can start feeding these to subdomain enumeration tools. And there's like some ones in here that I probably would have never known about, like Gemini is here. Let me make this a little bigger. So like Gemini and Aid and Boom Media and like yeah, so there's just like a whole bunch of stuff in here. So Yahoo API Fantasy Sports, I might have come across that when using this Fantasy Sports app, stuff like that. Who knows what this is? Like finance systex or ty.systex.finex.yahoo.com. I don't know if you can see that. I'll move it over. So like this line here, like what the hell is that, right? Like the more obscure they get, the happier I am, because you know, like they've probably counted on some obscurity that no one's going to be able to, you know, look into some of this because of their naming scheme. Probably not, but it just makes me happy anyway. Yeah, so the save broadcast option is enabled for the stream. You will have access to the recording when it's done. So I'm also recording it in Streamlabs as well. So like every which way is recording. Cool. So I am not going to immediately grab all of this and parse it into my tree, right? Because what I do now is I've got enough to start working. I could go down the rabbit hole and do Recon on this forever. But I'm just going to move on to the next level of Recon and just basically think about, you know, where I'm going to apply my my effort, right? So we got plenty of acquisitions, right? We looked at all the ASN ranges, both with Amass Intel and SSLscrape, and we found a lot of root domains. They need to be parsed, and eventually they'll end up as entities on the right side of the mind map here, and I'll just start doing them individually. What I did to just kind of be better for streaming is I did Yahoo, right? So just yahoo.com, I started doing subdomain enumeration on. And subdomain enumeration, my preferred tools we showed were using a script of mine. I use a script of mine called Hunter, but all in all, it's just using and building around Amass, Subfinder, and Mass DNS. So obviously I've already talked a lot about Amass. We've used it for the ASN functions, but now we're going to use it for the subdomain brute forcing and the subdomain scraping. The reason I choose Amass over everything, almost, is Amass just covers like the most sources. It's far and away for tools covers the most sources, right? These tools, what they're doing is they're going out to these public websites and just looking to see if they've ever seen anything that matches yahoo.com or oath.com or something like that, right? Which is our target. So they're going to ask Baidu, Bing, DNS Dumpster, like all of these sources, and some of them require API keys to you to register the service, but most of them don't. And they're just going and looking for that top level domain, that root domain that you've supplied it. By far, Amass for this technique for I think they call this Amass enum, I think is this portion of the tool. It works the best for this, more than any other tool I've used. Now, it can be heavy, and it does take some time to run. So that sucks. But you know, like, nothing good comes to those who can't wait, or some saying. I don't know. So let's see here. So we ran Amass just on Yahoo, which probably would just look like something like Amass dot. Let's see. I think I didn't do it. I just did a basic run, like -d, and then I just did like yahoo.com or something like that, right? So we ran that, except for I ran it through my script Hunter. My script Hunter just like conglomerates a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of tools in one thing. A lot of people have Recon frameworks like this they're starting to build. Mine is probably the least nice one. Yeah, Amass enum, yeah. Let's see here. Someone says, let's see here. Can't see bgp.he in your GitHub. So it's in my gist, it's not in my verbatim GitHub. Here, I'll put the link in chat. Yeah. So here's one. There you go. Thanks. Cool. Can I paste Hunter's code? No, I cannot. Thank you for asking, though. Yeah, not gonna let go of that one yet. Maybe sometime soon. I don't know, guys. A lot of people asked that one last time. Okay, so let me grab the output real quick. One sec. Just want to make sure I don't accidentally, you know, like, show something I'm not supposed to on screen. Okay, so basically I ran Hunter, which just does Amass and Subfinder and all this stuff automatically for me against yahoo.com and all of these domains. So here I have an output for each one of them, right? So Huffington Post is a brand owned by Verizon Media. It ran against, like, all of these. So we can grab one of these, and I think I did in the spreadsheet. I just started with Yahoo. Now Yahoo had a total of, let's see here. Oh boy, big numbers, big whammy. Something like 2,000 something. Uh, 2732, right? So obviously these don't all resolve. The problem is that, like, some of them resolve, but they're to error messages or to, like, not custom not found pages or anything like that. They don't exactly not resolve. So what happened was, in this phase on a smaller bounty, you can probably serve this to a screenshotting tool, right? Like, people will see lists of links like this or output from Amass of finding all these domains, and all I did was take the domain and add the prefix to it, the protocol to it, HTTP or HTTPS, and like, and they'll do it, and they'll send it to two of the better, or three of the better ones, right? So there's a whole bunch of screenshotting tools for this phase of the project. So like Aquatone is one, I think. So Aquatone will take a whole bunch of domains and attempt to use Chromium to screenshot them. So will Eyewitness. Wait, screenshot. There we go. So here's Eyewitness by Chris Trunser and his company 40 North Security. This will take a list and do screenshots on it. Another one is Go Witness. Oh boy. That's not it. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. By SensePost. Oh, SensePost is legit. Love SensePost. Cool. So they have another one that'll go out and screenshot stuff. So I did a run with Eyewitness, right? Because I'd be dumb not to try to automate some of this part, right? And what happens is that some of these screenshotting tools, they're great in the ideal of what they're doing, but they also they don't handle redirects well. They don't handle sites that take a long time to load. The Chromium itself, or whatever thing that they use, like this is also using Chromium, just like craps out every once in a while. And so you have to make this decision here. Like, am I, like, do I care about fidelity or do I care about automation? And so, so here, just for example, on the left-hand side, these are just all the URLs, right? And what happened is I got a lot of, I took a Go Witness run, or not Go Witness, an Eyewitness run of all of these URLs and missed a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so then I just started taking these 10 at a time manually and going into my browser and checking them out. And so, like, some of these would redirect to different sites. Like, everything that's basically in orange was a custom looking-ish site that I might want to look at, and the screenshot in Eyewitness didn't reflect anything interesting. It was either a blank page, it didn't take a screenshot, it failed taking the screenshot, or whatever, right? So you can, do your own thing and figure out what works for you. But there's a loss of fidelity here in the testing process that I hate. And so, although those screenshotting tools exist, I don't use them a ton on all my projects. In fact, I will just grab these and dump them into my own browser and start seeing where they'll redirect, right? Like, here's a good example here. au.mail.yahoo.com. If we grab that, is that it? Eventually redirected to whatever the hell this was, which is an AT&T site, which was weird. So, like, I don't know, like atlanta.yahoo.com didn't come up with the screenshot, but might possibly be interesting to me because it gives a generic application error message page. So I might want to do directory brute force on a server like this, because there's either two reasons that this is showing, right? One is that they decommissioned the site and left up the server, and so there might be stuff left over there, or this is a generic message that they're sending me for anything for a subdomain of yahoo.com that doesn't work, and I know that to not be the case. So for this phase, right, I'll take ones that look interesting. assist.yahoo.com I think looked interesting. Yeah, give me a blank page, but the site's resolving. Something like myplan.assist sounds interesting to me. So, like, people, I don't know, like, I feel like a lot of people see a blank page and they're like, oh yeah, nothing to do here, like, move on, right? But this is actually interesting to me, so this is something I'll brute force, right? So there was a whole bunch, and I just went through them manually. Here's where I stopped here, so I'll just grab these here, 62 through like 75, and so a lot of them will just redirect to the national subdomain of yahoo.com, of Yahoo News. Some of them will just redirect to Yahoo or Yahoo Finance. So, like, these I don't care about. This is a generic error message that happens a lot, and I'm just discounting this one. So you can feed these to HTTP probe. So I have done that before, right? So if I take this list, which one was this? I think this is H2. So this is Yahoo. Yahoo. Make it easier for you guys to see. Where is this? We'll just do the HTTPs into HTTP probe. What's the syntax for this? Let's see here. You can use tomnomnom, yeah, to HTTP probe. Yeah, I'll show you kind of what I did here with that. I did try that immediately. Like, I'm super stoked on tomnomnom's tools, actually. Like, they're just amazing, right? I do it in the subdomain brute force, or in the subdomain phase. I'll just try to resolve them similarly. HTTP probe is obviously for HTTP, but I'll just do like a dig script that I made to try to resolve all the domains. It's a great idea for a tool. The Chrome plugin to just grab everything, that is called Tab List. It's in the Chrome store. And you can just paste a whole bunch of links into it, and it will open them as tabs. It's pretty easy. Let's see here. Let's let's see. I think I did it. No file. 'Cause I'm dumb. There we go. To HTTP. Why is that not working? Rip RAM. All right, okay, so I just want the converted output, that's why. Thank you, Santo. I don't know how to say that. Yes, it won't take URLs, it wants to take domains. It doesn't want to take, because I've already added the prefix in the file here, the protocol. So that's why I did that before. So the file that just gives me the raw domains is this one. There we go. All right, so let's just take a swath of these that said that HTTP probe has said, yeah, yo, these resolve, right? Like, cool. Let's grab these. Now let's open them in a browser real quick. Yeah, so these are that generic error message for things that are not found. All redirects. So then I could send this to Meg, which is one of his tools too, which I did earlier, and grep anything that comes out with like the Yahoo homepage. I just honestly had not gotten there yet, so. All right, so let's try that. Okay, so cat, Euronymous, Uranus. I don't know how to say that name. Uranimous? Is that it? I always look at it and I'm like, is that how I say it? Yeah, so something like cat the file into HTTP probe. Uranimous. Okay. In the aquatone and then T the results. Alright, let's check that out. So I did at one point run everything through. So Eyewitness includes a thing like HTTP probe in it. So that's why I use Eyewitness. It cuts down one program. I remember why I did this. So let me see if I can find it. So here's the screens directory. So Eyewitness has a function to do that. To check for HTTP or HTTPS. Now I'm gonna be honest here, it's slower than probably piping it to HTTP probe and then into like a screenshot tool. So maybe good or bad. Let's see here, extra large icons. So yeah, like a lot of general stuff here. Like a lot of redirects to Yahoo. You can view details here, sort by size, and then anything that comes up larger or shorter you can kind of look at. But the hell is this? Oh, it's images.yahoo.com. Obviously those have the highest file size because they're stuffing a giant high-res image in your face when you land. So you can go through after a screenshot tool runs like this. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This doesn't look like everything else. Some integration with BT. Probably interesting. Choreo leads to myyahoo.com. This is a generic not found error message for them as well. Here's some XML for api.sports. Ad manager. So it's like kind of like newer. Let's check this out. What's this? All right, so let's fire up some Burp Suite here. Hope it doesn't kill the stream. All right, I'm going to make another profile here. I already have one. Cool. So I reformatted my computer, I want to say a week and a half ago, and it's still not set up to the way my old one was. So I'm always confused at which site to hack after screenshotting, right? It's just anything that doesn't look like anything else. So like you've got that giant screenshot, right? Like ton of these are the same, right? Like, and I'm not really gonna beat myself up against mainyahoo.com, right? Like, so like not gonna, I don't care about anything that comes up to look like any of these, right? Yahoo images, not gonna care about that really too much. Maybe, I don't know. When we get down to here and we start getting like custom error messages or custom sites that are maybe built on like a CMS or something, yeah, I am probably going to look at all these. And, you know, a percentage-wise, this is maybe 20% of our total screenshots of things that Eyewitness said resolved are quote-unquote interesting to me. So I will go after some of them. And eventually I'll just take this link and I will work on it here. So I will just grab, so right now we're working on so many browser tabs. So this is our new profile. And then grab all this. Guys, what are we working on? I lost it already. Help me out, chat. Where were we? What site did we decide that looked interesting? Shit. See, I'm sick and I'm dropping packets. Not literally. That's what my friend Dan says when when you're sick and you're like not doing too well. Let's see here. Where was it? It's like ad manager or something like that. Close these. There we go. Admanager.yahoo.com. Which takes us to Gemini. So we'll go into our screenshot here, and we'll just say this is what we're looking at right now. Cool. So we're currently working on this. Let's do some content discovery. We'll do fuff dash u. I keep my like common syntaxes down here in the mind map too, so like make sure, yeah, use site fuzz. Okay. Oop. And I'm probably gonna fuzz the root server. Thanks, guys. Doing my best here. So we'll put fuzz here. And then we need a word list. Where are my word lists? I forgot. I think they're in root tools. I used to use dir search, and although I don't think that does it have a recursive brute force function right now? I can't remember. Might or might not. I'm not sure. If it doesn't, dir search still might be like champion, right? Because it can recursively brute force paths once it finds out that they resolve. So that's great. Alt.txt. All right. Oh, here we go. Resolves for everything. It's great. We're doing it. Let's say we didn't. Let's see. Okay, so 302 seems to be it's just redirecting everything. So it's probably redirecting us to that main Gemini page that we landed on the path for the home page. So I still do want to brute force the root, but I'm gonna filter out 302s. So what do we want? Let's just say 200s right now. So MC, we'll just say 200. Does that work? There we go. Cool. So the reason I'm using fuff for this is I've just found fuff to be infinitely faster. Just like super fucking fast. It's great. So we'll leave this running. So while the tools are running, go back to the site. That's fine. Gonna burp. Turn intercept off. Let's just look around if it goes. So FC for status code. Oh, filter status code. I did MC for match code. I just wanted 200s. I guess I could have said give me everything except 302, which would be FC, right? Alright, fuck it. We're not that far into it. We'll just do it. So we want everything but 302. Right? Nope, that didn't work. Hold on. Oh, right. There we go. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, still using Burp 1.7. So 1.7 was the oldest version with the old UI. Guys, I hate the new UI. I hate it. And one of the reasons is because of the new crawler or spider. When I do smaller projects or even something like this, I do this process called link discovery, where I'm just going to every page recursively with the spider and using scope tools to basically find more sites and fill up the site tree. And that workflow actually doesn't work in the new burp. So I keep two installs. One of the new burp, which has like better scan checks and like better pretty much everything except for the ability to do this like one workflow. So the one I booted up is 1.7. So yeah. Do I have a custom word list for fuzzing? No, not custom. I have the one that I've released. All that txt word list. So that's in my gist as well. It's giant. Basically, I took every tool that ever did subdomain, or sorry, endpoint brute forcing or URL brute forcing, whatever you call it, directory brute forcing, fuzzing, web fuzzing, whatever term you want to call it. I took them all and I mashed them into one list. Like every tool I could find, like fierce, DNS brute, like all of this stuff. I mashed them into one place. So fuzz all the things. Yes. All right, so we get a status pages up. It's probably not going to be super interesting to us, but that's okay. Status forbidden. So that's a point where we might want to like recursively brute force everything after status, and like dir search can do that. I don't know if fuff can do that. Let me look. I just started using fuff like last week, so. Doesn't look like it does recursive brute forcing yet. And maybe you can just input like multiple path, like I don't know, like /fuzz and then /fuzz again, maybe? No, because you need to input the first path in there. Yeah, I don't have recursion yet. So like something where dir search might be better. So dir search offers recursion, which is what I used to use. It's just slow. If you know one that is fast and also does recursion, would be nice. Question is whether you use your own custom word list for each program specific to Yahoo. I don't. Only because, I'll just be honest with you guys, I've made so much fucking money from that all.txt giant one, right? Like if I have the compute power to run it and the site's not blacklisting me and I don't have to worry about anything like that and I have the time to work on the program, why not have all the coverage of a huge list like that? Like, it just seems dumb for me to like try to like think of, you know, like you can build a technology-based word list, right? Like I can go to this site and be like, I don't have it installed right now, but I usually use Wappalizer or something like that. So, or maybe I just don't have it. Maybe. Franz uses all.txt. Man, if I'm making a list that Franz uses, whew, swoon. Swoon. Dude, Franz is a ninja. Like, you want to know, like, what I think of like some of the bug bounty people, where you guys included, right? Like this is the new, like I'm old, right? But like this is the new of the talent in the security community that's coming up. And Franz is one of those. Matthias is one of those. Like Ben, like all those people in the community who you see writing about all this stuff and sharing their information. That's like the new blood. Like super hyped about it. I'm old. No ripe old age of 35. What was I going to do here? Oh, I was going to look for Wappalizer. Don called me young. Don, I love you. Oh, thank God I'm not a boomer. I hate that phrase so much. Oh my God. You guys want to trigger me? I'm going to give it to you. Okay, boomer. Jesus Christ. Just kidding. Don't use it. Okay, so you know, if I wanted to make a custom word list, I would go to like Gemini and Wappalize it if oh, gotta refresh. Alright, so Angular, right? I could have guessed that just by the like stylings, right? So Node.js Angular, right? So I can go out there and now, you know, I know that this one side out of Yahoo's scope is Angular and running on Apache and Node.js, right? Like that's cool. And I could start to build a custom list, but it wouldn't apply to absolutely everything. What's better to do is probably like, I've done this before, is once you find a finding or something like that, start to slowly build up for a long-term program. But like I said, if I have the computing power, I'm running all.txt usually. So let's see. Okay. All right. So I've started to route some traffic through the good old Burp Suite, which is, yes, an old version. Why am I not getting anything, guys? Request is going through. Oh, got an alert. Failed to connect. Let's see. Close this. Usually don't use Foxy Proxy on like my like regular browser profile, but it's all good. Just want to see like what's going on here. So we're gonna set up a proxy. Close all this other stuff. Is this wise? This is not wise, chat. This is not wise because if I proxy my main browser, it's gonna screw up Twitch. So let's not do that. Let's try to figure out what's going on. Yeah, you're about to get like a screen. So, okay, so in my normal browser profile, not proxy, not going through burp, I can get to this page. Yes, I used another profile. That's what I did. I have another profile down here, and I'm getting a blank screen. And burp is telling me that it failed to connect. Let me just confirm I have the cert installed. Hoo-yah! I'm almost like 100,000,000% positive I have the cert installed, but, you know, you never know. Let's see. Yeah, it's still blank page. Not cool, guys. Night, Dawn. Have a good one. Yeah, that's the problem with streaming at 9. Like, it's like the time right when I can start streaming because my kids go to bed. But it's like super late for anybody coming from West Coast or like India. All right, I'll debug this eventually, but I guess we can move on to something else. What else do we have in here? Don't care. Seen that error message before. That's like something I might want to check out. Potentially something I'd want to brute force. Good Morning America is their morning news brand or whatever. So this is on my list of things to check. Good Morning America. Don't know if it's explicitly in scope. I'd have to check. Getting a JSON response here. Like all the stuff at the bottom level of the file size for the screenshots is like interesting. Powered by Okta. Does not exist. csp.yahoo.com. CMS Analytics. So I have two sets, right? So my personal box is pretty beefy and I use it sometimes for some of this stuff. So this is just a virtual machine of Ubuntu. And then this is VPS. And so since I'm running on Windows, so I can game whenever I want, like I don't have to switch OSs. I use Windows as my primary host. And then I use this. So I actually was using a different like terminal manager before, but this one is called what is this one called? Fuck, MOBA Xterm. And like I just went out and read it, and I was like, hey Reddit, what's the like best like terminal or whatever? And so people were like, a whole bunch of people, and usually you can trust the hive mind that is Reddit to tell you. They were like, this one's awesome because it comes with like your left-hand side like file folder like layout. You can drag and drop files through SFTP, dynamic resizing of like screens. There's just like a whole bunch of like splitting, multi-exec. You can multi-exec commands across multiple screens. So like if I wanted to run a command off of a file, I could then shove it to 4 different VPSs and stuff like that. So people were saying that this is pretty cool. I'm just checking out. I literally just started. So it's called MOBA Xterm right down here in the bottom. Oh, you can't see it because it's covered by my silly face. MOBA Xterm. You can't see. It's MOBA Xterm.mobatech.com. Let's see if I clear it. There we go. MOBA Xterm. Terminus was also highly recommended by that Reddit thread. So, YOLO. All right. So right now there's a couple people, so there's like a lot of terminals open and like a lot of screens and a lot of tabs and stuff like that. I mean, I have 4 screens here, but I can only show you guys like a couple of them or like one of them, right? But normally I'm segregating what I'm doing by screen, but streaming, you can't stream more than one thing. So like it actually doesn't get that hectic for me when I'm working on a project like this and looking at a lot of stuff at the same time. See? So like when the proxy's off, I can get here. But when the proxy's on, I installed that goddamn cert. Alright. This is what happens when you reformat your box. Like, all of your defaults go away and you're sad. Alright. Switching to new sites. That is not what I wanted. That is not the right extension. The fuck was that extension that I used to open all the things? Open list. It's called open list, not tab list. Why does it say tab list when you hover over it then, chat? There we go. Cool. I think that's right. Yep. Have I tried a different proxy to confirm that they block it? Like, what type of proxy? Like, other than burp? Or like what are you saying there? Sorry. Alright, care. Okay, so here's one thing that I was going to show is if burp is working. Yeah, burp is working. So this is that workflow I showed. I showed this like a long time ago. Oh boy, let me make this bigger for you guys. So user options. Display, font size, 20. Yeah, let's try that. Oh, just to see if it like used Zap or something like that. Yeah, I had Zap installed in the box before, but I don't right now. Cool. All right, so in this, like, yeah, it's viewable at least a little bit. I just proxied like Yahoo and all these tabs, whatever the fuck they're loading, right? So like, this gives me like everything that's linked on this main page, which is a bunch of bullshit that I kind of don't care about. So I'm gonna add a wildcard scope rule here, and I'm just gonna say anything that says Yahoo in the host name. going to say OK. Let's say no. Go back to sitemap. I don't apply. Show only in scope items. It's going to take a second. Cool. So now all I have is anything that says Yahoo in the host name. So I've already seen some of this. So now I can take these and I can spider these. And now this is going to balloon out fast. So it's going to go to all those pages, spider them, and then find even more links that are linked from yahoo.com. You turn off all forms of scanning. Don't scan. That's just using up stuff. So go to spider. Still running. Could potentially run forever. But you can recursively just start parsing like all of these links. So iquery.finance.com.yahoo.com. See what this is. Test console. No response. On 4080. So it redirected us to 4080. So this is definitely like one of those things that is interesting, right? Finance.yql is, you know, their Yahoo query language. On like a high port, something called console and like tests. Like I definitely want to actually like, if I can get to this ever, look at it. Log in, don't care. What Product Central is. Okay. Somewhat interesting. I haven't seen this page anywhere else. Yahoo Account Pro, LastPass logo on it. Over. Just stop. Options. Form submission. Don't submit forms right now. Don't do it. Okay. So let's add another keyword here. Oath. So I'm going to grab this. I am definitely going to brute force this. Oh, I added 2 slashes. Okay, massive 301s. Let's say massive 302s. Oh, 302. Okay. Let's see here. So, questions from chat. Some of them might be services on and off the shelf products with may have standard crits. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can usually tell a COTS product with something like Wapalizer or something like that. Like, so just so that I track my work, I'm gonna go grab this and add it to the project page. We'll grab all these. Oops, shit. Okay. It's okay. Move them to this domain too. Cool. All right, so we're doing this right now. Say orange. And text can be black. Cool, so we're doing that right now. I haven't done a port scan on the box yet. And there's not a ton of functionality yet. I think the checkout button here goes to a different domain, checkout.yahoo.com and lahoo.yahoo.com. Let's see what Burp has for this. JavaScript assets. So I want to start looking at the JavaScript files for this page. Acquire.js. jQuery stuff, AL utils. All right, I'm gonna. I'm just gonna say JS. How many gigabytes of RAM am I using for Burp? I don't know how many I'm applying. I'm just using like I just use like the general Windows installer. Like I don't run it from the command line and apply like the XMS memory setting or whatever. On my box, I have 128 gigs of memory, which is a lot, so that I can work with large files like this. Yeah, the VOD will be available later, yeah. So I'm going to just take the JavaScript directory. I'm going to dump it in my mind map so I can sit and look at those later. It's like pretty standard markety site. What I like to do is after I've kind of spidered it, make sure like I think I've already set it to be spidered, but I'll just ensure. I'll just go to engagement tools and do like analyze target. I just want to look at all URLs that were passed data. So there's one param on, or there's like a total, there's only one param passed across the whole application, which is NCID. Just from my limited browsing of it, right? And it's passed across a whole bunch of links. But like, so just looking at this now, like probably not interesting. Like I'm gonna obviously finish my brute force. There's not a lot of dynamic content here, meaning there's not a lot of parameter passing or whatever. So yeah, gonna probably move on. You know, I can futz with this parameter, right? I can play with the site a little bit more. Obviously, like I said, if there was more dynamic content or like a login field or something like that, I would execute it and feed, you know, whatever. But there's not, because if you went to the page, right, the sign up leads to checkout.yahoo.com, and any other dynamic link leads to login.yahoo.com, and maybe it'll lead back if I get a cookie, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I will parse the JavaScript for like paths and other endpoints, basically. Yeah, just endpoints. Normally I just do this by eyeball. I know there's tools. Link Finder is one I've used before. I don't have them set up right now, but yeah. So Xmind is basically just to plan the project. It's just to organize my brain, right? Like I have my small Recon methodology here that I do overall, and then I can just say, hey, yeah, I've already done the ASNs. I have pasted the output of those tools here. Like if I want it, I can go back and get it. Like I can add notes, right? Like you could do this in OneNote, or you could do it in, whatever. So yeah. And then, like I can just quickly paste like tool syntax that I've used for the session, instead of having to go back to my console and like grab it down. And like eventually when I find something, like I'll create a findings template in case I find that same vuln again. You can use cherry tree, you can use all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And then like I have like, a task list for each site, right? Like content discovery, port scan, possibly a BERT scan, list vulns, check for CSRF, check for file uploads, check for SSRF. Like I have a more detailed one that I made a long time ago. It's on my other hard drive since I backed everything up, but yeah. And then check JavaScript files. So yeah, and so for like when I'm done with this, like obviously I think for right now I'm not going to touch this because it's not working through burp proxy. I mean, I'll just like shut it down, be like, cool, we're gonna fill this with like, I don't know, some color for like indicate check later. Like purple means check later because like, I don't know, something wasn't working out for me at the time. This currently working on, so green. We are being somewhat rate limited on the content discovery. Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna give this a couple more minutes. We've been at it for an hour and about 45. I did want to get in some gaming tonight, this is like the boring part of the analysis, right? So like at this point, I have a whole bunch of root domains. I could go more Recon and like not ever touch anything and not hack anything, or I could at this point start just poking on sites that I think are interesting. And I don't really have like a good way to like tell chat, like what do I think is interesting. I've tried to do that a little bit, but like anything that looks different is something that's up for interpretation. There's no magic on what I do to test, right? It's content discovery, a lot of content discovery, analyze all the parameters, potentially like fuzz them, check for file uploads, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is for next stream on Saturday night, I'll tee up a whole bunch of interesting sites, like maybe like 10, and we'll just go through them and hopefully not find a bug live on stream, but like get close and you guys can see like the process and stuff like that. So yeah. So let's see here. And this was the total output. Remember, we fed that site to like HTTP probe, or we fed our output from subdomain scanning or subdomain scanning to HTTP probe. There's still a lot. Holy shit. Yeah. Yahoo's just huge. This is so much easier in a smaller scope program. Amazon.co.uk to secure tunnel, the link that I mean, that resolves, sure, but what the hell is it? Like, yeah, see, a lot of these are going to give us this page not found. So like the next portion of this would either be to screenshot everything that comes out of HTTP probe, which you verified resolves, which we did with Eyewitness, so we should be relatively the same output, but who knows? Maybe one tool is better than the other. And then the next step is to feed it to like Meg, and Meg gets the HTTP responses, and then you can parse out like basically everything that would have this like dumb custom 404, or it's not a custom 404, it's like application level custom 404. So yeah, like a bunch of this stuff is going to be like that. I think Tumblr's been excluded by scope anyway. I mean, have you guys had a lot of luck like using, I don't know, like HTTP probe on something that has this many like redirects? Like, because it basically says everything in my subdomain enumeration is you know, resolves, which, yeah, like maybe it does, but it's, you know, it's all of, you know, just redirection to yahoo.com. So what is, I mean, like, I don't have any better way than like, you know, using this tab list kind of workflow and pasting everything and just checking stuff, right? Like that's, and I will go through, probably not a program as big as this, but most programs just go through like, you know, 10 hosts at a time, and, you know, do the methodology on them. So I guess we could rerun them through something else. I can try to get Meg working. What is this? So like I've got like a whole bunch of inputs now, right? Like I have what I got back from Eyewitness in this folder, screenshots that I can think are interesting sites to look at. I have everything that came out of my subdomain enumeration that resolved here in HTTP probe. There's just like no shortage of things to look at now. And then I've got everything that I just did through link discovery here in Burp, which was found linked on general Yahoo sites. So you can either look at like the screenshots or just the domain names themselves and be like, oh yeah, that might be something. Like jsapi-login.yahoo.com. JSON. Interesting. All right, guys, I am feeling pretty sick. So, yeah, it's been a long day. I'm going to cut it for right now. Like I said, I'll bring a handful of interesting sites and we'll do more of the burp stuff next time, like parameter analysis, and find a whole bunch of like live sites and walk you through, you know, some of that stuff. Obviously I'm kind of restricted on what I can do on stream. Like Recon's cool to do on stream, but it's not cool to find live bugs on stream. So you know, we'll do like parameter analysis. I'll tell you what I'd fuzz, like, you know, using FUF and content discovery is, you know, it's like right in the middle, like, you know, could be okay, but I'm actually touching the server here. So, but other streamers are doing it. So like, I think I'm relatively safe, but, yeah, I really appreciate you stopping by. I know a lot of you just come for the security stuff, so I'm going to switch over to do some gaming now. Yeah, if you have any questions, I'll just be in chat answering a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna spider it. So it's already been spidered because it's colored in black, right? So doesn't have that much to it. Cool. So I'm gonna, I mean, obviously this is auto-save, but I'll save this project anyway. And I'll call this linked discovery. Yahoo. I didn't do any collaborator work, so I won't save that in there. And we'll just, yeah, we'll just save it in. All right, so we can shut these down. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, good questions. You know, like if anyone tells you they know how to do all this stuff, or like, I don't know, that they have some magic, like I don't think that there's a ton out there, right? It's people doing the same workflow. Maybe when you get to the actual app testing part, people have better methodologies than others. But yeah, I mean, this is the general like Recon flow. You know, everybody's looking for the holy grail right now to automate a lot of this stuff. There are plenty of tools out there that try to string all this together. You know, I actually don't do, Jonas says it's, some dorking would be cool to add. You know, I actually don't do a lot of dorking. I do GitHub dorking, right? So when I do my Hunter script, it processes a lot of GitHub dorks, or but not a lot of Google dorks. So maybe it's something I should like. It used to be pretty hot like years ago, and then kind of like, Google dorking like fell out of fashion a little bit. I mean, do you find a lot of bugs doing dorking? Because that's a good question. All right. Good stream, guys. I'm gonna probably play a couple matches of Apex and then